Good evening, and welcome to Cozy Sleep Time. Before we begin tonight's story, take a quiet moment to settle in and get comfortable. Find a position where your body can fully relax, whether you're lying in bed, resting on a couch, or simply unwinding after a long day. Allow your shoulders to soften. Let your breathing slow down just a little. There is nowhere else you need to be, and nothing else you need to do. Here, on Cozy Sleep Time, we explore calm and gentle topics. Stories designed to help the mind slow down and drift peacefully toward rest. Each story moves slowly, gently, allowing your thoughts to wander and your body to relax more and more. Our story tonight is about circadian rhythms. As the story unfolds, you can simply listen, or you can allow your mind to drift. There is no need to stay focused. If your thoughts wander, that is perfectly natural. So take one more slow breath, get comfortable, and let the quiet story begin. The discovery of circadian rhythms. The concept of an internal biological clock was first proposed in the 18th century, but it took scientists centuries to understand what we now call circadian rhythms. The journey to discover these rhythms reveals much about how science progresses through observation, experimentation, and gradually emerging understanding. In 1729, French astronomer Jean-Jacques d'Ortus de Meuron noticed that mimosa plants opened and closed their leaves at regular times each day, even when kept in complete darkness. This was the first documented observation of what we would now recognize as a circadian rhythm. The plants were responding to some internal timing mechanism, not to external light signals as had been assumed. The term circadian was coined much later, in 1959, by scientist Franz Halberg. The word comes from the Latin circa, meaning around, and diem, meaning day, literally meaning around a day. This naming reflected the approximately 24-hour nature of these biological cycles, though the precise length varies slightly from exactly 24 hours in most organisms. The real breakthrough came in the 1970s with the work of Seymour Benzer and Ronald Konopka, who identified a gene in fruit flies that controlled circadian rhythms. This gene, which they named period, was the first discovered circadian clock gene. Subsequent research has identified similar genes in virtually all living organisms, from single-celled algae to humans. The key insight that emerged from this research is that circadian rhythms are generated internally by biological clocks, not simply responses to external cues. Even when all external time cues are removed, most organisms continue to show daily rhythms in physiology and behavior. The rhythms persist but gradually drift, reflecting their approximately 24-hour nature rather than exactly 24 hours. This internal timing provides significant evolutionary advantages. Being able to anticipate regular changes in the environment, like sunrise and sunset, allows organisms to prepare for what's coming. Flowers open before bees begin foraging. Body temperature rises before we need to become active. Hormones are released at optimal times for various physiological processes. The human circadian system is now known to involve multiple clocks throughout the body, coordinated by a master clock in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This small cluster of about 20,000 neurons sits above the optic nerve and receives direct input from the eyes, allowing it to synchronize with the external light-dark cycle. Other clocks in organs throughout the body run on slightly different schedules, creating a complex temporal organization of physiology. Understanding circadian rhythms has profound practical implications. Shift work, jet lag, and modern lifestyles that keep us under artificial lighting at night all disrupt these internal clocks. The consequences include increased risk of disease, impaired cognition, and reduced well-being. Working with our circadian biology rather than against it can significantly improve health and quality of life. The master clock in the brain. Deep within the brain, a tiny structure called the suprachiasmatic nucleus serves as the master coordinator of the body's circadian rhythms. This small cluster of neurons, located in the hypothalamus, just above where the optic nerves cross, contains approximately 20,000 cells that function as the body's master clock. The suprachiasmatic nucleus receives direct input from special photoreceptor cells in the eyes called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. These cells are not involved in vision in the conventional sense. They detect light primarily for the purpose of circadian synchronization. When light hits these cells, they send signals directly to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, informing it whether it is day or night. This direct pathway is why light exposure is so powerful in setting circadian rhythms. Morning light tells the master clock that it's time to start the day, triggering a cascade of hormonal and physiological changes that prepare the body for activity. Evening light, particularly blue light, sends the opposite signal, delaying the clock and making it harder to fall asleep. The suprachiasmatic nucleus does not dictate the body's rhythms directly. Instead, it acts as a conductor of an orchestra, sending signals to various organs and tissues throughout the body that have their own local clocks. These signals travel through various pathways, including the autonomic nervous system and the endocrine system. One of the most important signals sent by the master clock is the rhythmic release of melatonin from the pineal gland. Melatonin is often called the hormone of darkness because it is released primarily at night. Its levels begin to rise in the evening, promoting sleep, and drop in the morning, helping us wake. The timing of melatonin release is controlled by the suprachiasmatic nucleus in response to light information. The master clock also coordinates body temperature rhythms. Body temperature drops at night, reaching its lowest point in the early morning hours, then rises throughout the day. This temperature rhythm influences many other physiological processes and even affects mood and cognitive performance. Cortisol, often called the stress hormone, also follows a circadian pattern. Levels are highest in the early morning, providing energy to wake up and face the day, then decline throughout the day. This morning, cortisol surge is normal and healthy. Elevated evening cortisol, common in chronic stress, indicates disrupted circadian rhythms. The coordination provided by the suprachiasmatic nucleus ensures that all the body's rhythms are synchronized with each other and with the external environment. When this coordination breaks down, as happens in shift work or jet lag, the result is desynchronization, which can have significant negative effects on health and well-being. How the clock generates rhythms. The question of how biological clocks generate 24-hour rhythms has fascinated scientists for decades. At the molecular level, the clock operates through a series of feedback loops that create self-sustaining oscillations, allowing cells to keep time even without external cues. The core mechanism involves a set of clock genes that regulate each other's expression in a precisely timed cycle. In mammals, key genes including BMAL1, clock, purr, and cry form the heart of this molecular clock. The proteins produced from these genes interact in complex ways that create the approximately 24-hour cycle. The process begins when the clock and BMAL1 proteins combine and activate the purr and cry genes. As purr and cry proteins accumulate in the cell, they eventually form complexes that inhibit the activity of clock and BMAL1. This reduces the activation of purr and cry genes, causing their levels to fall. With less purr and cry to inhibit them, clock and BMAL1 become active again, and the cycle restarts. This feedback loop takes approximately 24 hours to complete one cycle, creating the fundamental rhythm upon which all circadian biology is built. Each cell in the body contains this molecular clock, ticking away with its own approximately 24-hour rhythm. The period gene discovered in fruit flies and its mammalian equivalent is central to this mechanism. Mutations in these genes can shorten, lengthen, or even abolish circadian rhythms, demonstrating their essential role in timekeeping. The period gene gets its name from the fact that mutations affect the period of the fly's circadian activity. The molecular clock does not run at exactly 24 hours in most organisms. In humans, the intrinsic period averages about 24.2 hours, slightly longer than 24 hours. This means that without daily resetting by light, our internal clocks would gradually drift later each day. Light exposure in the morning pulls the clock earlier, while evening light pushes it later, helping us stay synchronized with the external world. Additional layers of regulation help fine-tune the molecular clock. Post-translational modifications, including phosphorylation and ubiquitination, affect the stability and activity of clock proteins. These modifications can adjust the speed of the clock and help integrate information from the environment. The robustness of the circadian system is remarkable. Even when some components are disrupted, backup mechanisms can often maintain rhythmicity. This redundancy ensures that the biological clock continues functioning despite the inevitable molecular fluctuations that occur in living cells. Peripheral clocks. While the suprachiasmatic nucleus serves as the master clock, virtually every cell in the body contains its own circadian clock. These peripheral clocks coordinate local physiology and are synchronized by the master clock through various signaling pathways. The liver contains particularly active peripheral clocks, regulating metabolism in precise alignment with feeding patterns and the sleep-wake cycle. Genes involved in glucose metabolism, lipid processing, and detoxification all show circadian rhythms, ensuring that these processes occur at optimal times. Disruption of these rhythms, as occurs with late-night eating or shift work, can contribute to metabolic disorders. The heart contains peripheral clocks that regulate cardiovascular function. Blood pressure, heart rate, and the responsiveness of blood vessels all show circadian patterns. Heart attacks and strokes are more common in the early morning hours, a pattern that reflects the combined effects of circadian rhythms in cardiovascular function and the transition from sleep to wakefulness. The immune system shows strong circadian regulation. The activity of various immune cells, the production of inflammatory signaling molecules, and even the effectiveness of vaccines all vary with the time of day. This temporal organization likely represents an evolutionary adaptation, optimizing immune function at times when exposure to pathogens is most likely. The digestive system has its own peripheral clocks that coordinate the timing of digestive processes, enzyme release, and nutrient absorption. These clocks are sensitive to feeding times, so that when we eat can be as important as what we eat. The practice of late-night eating can disrupt these rhythms and contribute to weight gain and metabolic problems. Fat tissue, skin, lungs, and indeed most tissues and organs contain their own circadian clocks. These local clocks allow tissues to anticipate regular changes in the body's demands, preparing in advance for upcoming activities rather than simply reacting to them. The peripheral clocks are synchronized by various signals from the master clock. The autonomic nervous system, which controls involuntary functions like heart rate and digestion, carries timing information throughout the body. Hormonal signals, particularly cortisol and melatonin, also help coordinate peripheral clocks. The importance of peripheral clocks is increasingly recognized in medicine. The timing of drug administration, known as chronotherapy, can significantly affect treatment effectiveness and side effects. Understanding the circadian regulation of drug metabolism and tissue sensitivity allows treatments to be optimized for the time of day when they will be most effective and least toxic. Light and the circadian system. Light is the most powerful zeitgeber, or time giver, for the human circadian system. Understanding how light affects circadian rhythms is essential for anyone seeking to optimize their sleep, energy levels, and overall health. The photoreceptors that transmit light information to the suprachiasmatic nucleus are intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. These cells contain a light-sensitive pigment called melanopsin, which is most sensitive to blue light in the 460 to 480 nanometer range. This is why blue light in the evening is particularly disruptive to circadian rhythms. When blue light hits these specialized photoreceptors, they send signals to the suprachiasmatic nucleus that it is daytime. This signal suppresses melatonin release and shifts the circadian clock later, making it harder to fall asleep. Evening exposure to blue light from screens or energy-efficient lighting can significantly delay sleep onset. Morning light has the opposite effect. Exposure to bright light in the early morning pulls the circadian clock earlier, helping people wake up earlier and fall asleep earlier. This is the basis for light therapy used to treat circadian rhythm disorders and seasonal affective disorder. The intensity of light matters significantly. Typical indoor lighting is only about 100 to 500 lux, while outdoor daylight can be 10,000 lux or more. This massive difference in intensity means that indoor lighting has relatively little effect on the circadian system compared to natural light. Getting outside, even on a cloudy day, provides much more circadian effective light than staying indoors. The timing of light exposure determines its effect. Light in the hours before the minimum of the core body temperature rhythm will shift the clock earlier. Light in the hours after this minimum will shift the clock later. For most people whose body temperature minimum occurs in the early morning hours, light before about 8 a.m. shifts the clock earlier, while light after about 8 a.m. shifts it later. The duration of light exposure also affects circadian timing. Brief exposures to bright light can have significant effects, but longer exposures generally have larger effects. However, even brief exposures at the right time can be effective, which is why it's important to be mindful of light exposure throughout the day. Modern lifestyles often create circadian challenges. We get insufficient morning light and too much evening light, creating a mismatch between our internal clocks and our schedules. Deliberately managing light exposure by getting bright morning light and avoiding blue light in the evening can significantly improve circadian alignment and sleep quality. Body temperature rhythms. Body temperature follows one of the most robust circadian rhythms, dropping at night and rising during the day. This daily temperature fluctuation influences sleep, alertness, and numerous physiological processes throughout the body. The core body temperature rhythm typically shows a drop of 1 to 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit from evening peak to morning trough. Temperature begins falling in the late evening, reaching its lowest point in the early morning hours, typically between 3 and 5 a.m. It then begins rising, reaching its peak in the late afternoon or early evening. This temperature rhythm is not simply a response to sleep or activity. It persists even when people are kept in constant conditions, demonstrating its independent circadian control. However, sleep does affect body temperature, and the temperature drop that occurs during sleep helps facilitate the transition between sleep stages. The evening temperature drop promotes sleep onset. As body temperature falls, it signals to the brain that it's time to sleep. This is why a warm bath before bed can paradoxically help with sleep. The bath raises core temperature, and the subsequent drop is more pronounced, promoting drowsiness. During sleep, body temperature continues to decline, reaching its lowest point in the early morning. This lowest point is associated with the deepest sleep, which typically occurs in the first few hours of the night. The subsequent rise in temperature that begins before waking is associated with lighter sleep stages and the transition to wakefulness. Temperature also affects sleep regulation through the process of sleep homeostasis. The homeostatic sleep drive builds up during waking hours, reflecting the accumulation of sleep-promoting substances in the brain. Temperature influences how this sleep pressure is felt, with warmer temperatures generally promoting wakefulness and cooler temperatures facilitating sleep. The circadian rhythm of body temperature interacts with other rhythms in complex ways. Melatonin secretion, for example, is facilitated by the temperature drop that occurs in the evening. Conversely, the timing of melatonin release affects temperature regulation. These interactions create an integrated system of circadian timekeeping. Disruptions to the temperature rhythm can affect sleep. Elevated evening temperatures, whether from fever, hot environments, or warm bedding, can interfere with sleep onset and quality. Understanding this relationship suggests practical sleep hygiene strategies, including keeping the bedroom cool and avoiding heating up too much before bed. Hormone rhythms. Hormones serve as chemical messengers that coordinate rhythms throughout the body, and many hormones show clear circadian patterns. Understanding these hormonal rhythms reveals how deeply the circadian system affects physiology. Cortisol, often called the primary stress hormone, follows a strong circadian rhythm. Levels are highest in the early morning, typically peaking around 30 to 45 minutes after waking. This morning cortisol surge provides energy and alertness to start the day. Cortisol then declines throughout the day, reaching its lowest point around midnight. This morning cortisol rise is called the cortisol awakening response, and it helps us transition from sleep to wakefulness. The surge is triggered not by the circadian clock alone, but by the combination of circadian signal and the act of waking. Even people who wake during the night will experience a cortisol surge, though smaller than the morning one. The cortisol rhythm affects many aspects of physiology. It influences metabolism, immune function, blood pressure, and even cognition. The afternoon decline in cortisol is associated with a natural dip in alertness, sometimes called the post-lunch dip, though this is not caused by lunch itself, but by the circadian rhythm. Melatonin is the hormone most directly associated with sleep. Released from the pineal gland in response to darkness, melatonin signals to the body that it is time to prepare for sleep. Its levels begin rising in the evening, typically around 9 p.m., and remain elevated throughout the night, before dropping in the early morning hours. Melatonin does not actually cause sleep directly. Instead, it helps regulate the circadian timing of sleep, shifting the body clock earlier or later depending on when it is administered. This makes melatonin useful for treating jet lag and circadian rhythm disorders. Growth hormone is released primarily during sleep, particularly during deep sleep. Its secretion peaks in the first few hours of sleep and is suppressed during waking hours. This is one reason why adequate sleep is important for tissue repair, muscle building, and overall health. The thyroid hormones also show circadian rhythms, with peak levels typically occurring in the late morning. This rhythm affects metabolic rate throughout the day. disrupted thyroid rhythms can contribute to metabolic problems. Sex hormones, including testosterone and estrogen, show circadian variation as well. In men, testosterone peaks in the morning and declines during the day. Women, whose hormone patterns are more complex, show daily rhythms superimposed on their monthly cycles. These hormonal rhythms demonstrate how the circadian system coordinates physiology throughout the body. Disrupting these rhythms through shift work, jet lag, or poor sleep habits can have wide-ranging effects on health and well-being. Sleep-wake cycles. The alternation between sleep and wakefulness is perhaps the most obvious circadian rhythm, but the relationship between our internal clock and our sleep-wake patterns is more complex than it might appear. Understanding this relationship is key to improving sleep quality. The circadian system promotes wakefulness during the day and sleep at night. This drive is not simply a matter of being tired at night. It is an active process that involves specific brain areas promoting arousal during the day and specific pathways promoting sleep at night. The two-process model of sleep regulation describes how two systems interact to produce the sleep-wake cycle. Process S represents sleep homeostasis, the drive for sleep that builds during waking hours. This drive reflects the accumulation of sleep-promoting substances, including adenosine, in the brain. The longer we are awake, the stronger the homeostatic sleep drive becomes. Process C represents the circadian process, the cyclic drive for sleep and wakefulness generated by our biological clock. This process opposes the homeostatic drive during the day, helping us stay awake. At night, it supports the homeostatic drive, making sleep easier to achieve. The interaction between these two processes creates the pattern of daily alertness and sleep. When we stay awake all night, the homeostatic drive for sleep builds continuously, but we experience two periods of reduced alertness, one in the mid-afternoon and one in the early morning. These correspond to the circadian troughs when the circadian drive for wakefulness is lowest. Morning alertness is high because both the homeostatic drive is low after sleep and the circadian system is promoting wakefulness. Afternoon alertness dips because the circadian drive for wakefulness is declining and the homeostatic drive is building. Early morning alertness is lowest because the homeostatic drive is highest after many hours without sleep, while the circadian system is at its lowest point. This explains why we feel most alert in the late morning, experience an afternoon dip, and then have another surge in the early evening before our final decline toward nighttime sleep. It also explains why night shift workers struggle so much. They are trying to sleep when the circadian system is strongly promoting wakefulness. Understanding the two-process model provides practical insights. The timing of sleep can be optimized by considering both processes. Sleeping during the circadian trough for sleep, typically in the early morning, is easier than trying to sleep at other times. Strategic napping can take advantage of the afternoon circadian dip. Morning types and evening types. People differ in their circadian preferences, with some naturally being more alert in the morning and others more alert in the evening. These differences, called chronotypes, reflect underlying variations in circadian biology that have important implications for health and performance. Chronotype is not simply a preference, but reflects the timing of physiological rhythms. A morning type, often called a lark, has earlier circadian rhythms, with earlier melatonin release, earlier body temperature minimum, and earlier cortisol rise. An evening type, often called an owl, has later rhythms for all of these. The typical chronotype shifts across the lifespan. Children tend to be morning types, becoming increasingly evening-oriented during adolescence. Young adults are typically the most evening-oriented, with chronotype gradually shifting back toward morning as people enter middle age and beyond. This shift is likely driven by changes in circadian biology rather than lifestyle choices. Evening types can seem to have an advantage in modern societies that prize early rising. However, they also face significant challenges, often being required to wake at times that are misaligned with their internal clocks. This chronic misalignment, called social jet lag, can have significant health consequences. Research has linked evening chronotype with various health risks. Evening types tend to have higher rates of obesity, metabolic problems, and psychological difficulties. They are also more likely to engage in unhealthy behaviors, including smoking and alcohol use. Whether these associations reflect the biological differences in evening types or the challenges of living against their natural preferences is not yet clear. Chronotype has implications for work performance. Morning types typically perform better on cognitive tasks in the morning, while evening types perform better in the afternoon and evening. This can create mismatches when work schedules require peak performance at times that don't align with an individual's chronotype. The concept of chronotype is useful in understanding individual sleep and activity patterns. Rather than forcing everyone to follow the same schedule, recognizing chronotype differences can help optimize timing of activities, including work, school, and even medication. Simple strategies can help evening types cope with early schedules. Getting bright light exposure in the morning, avoiding light in the evening, and maintaining consistent sleep schedules can gradually shift circadian rhythms earlier. However, complete transformation from evening to morning type is typically not possible. The goal is better alignment rather than fundamental change. Jet lag and shift work. Modern life often requires us to be awake and active at times that conflict with our internal clocks. Jet lag from crossing time zones and the demands of shift work both represent significant challenges to circadian biology. Jet lag occurs when rapid travel across time zones creates a mismatch between our internal clock and the external time at our destination. Our bodies have not had time to adjust to the new schedule, so we feel tired when we should be alert, hungry when we should not be, and generally out of sync with our new environment. The severity of jet lag depends on several factors. The number of time zones crossed is the most obvious. Crossing more zones creates more severe jet lag. Eastward travel is generally harder to adjust to than westward travel because it requires advancing the clock, going to bed earlier, which is more difficult than delaying it, staying up later. Direction of travel matters because our natural circadian period is slightly longer than 24 hours, making it easier to stay up later than to go to bed earlier. Adjusting to eastward travel requires going to bed earlier, while westward travel only requires staying up later. Strategies for managing jet lag include strategic light exposure, melatonin supplementation, and careful timing of meals. Getting bright light exposure in the morning at the destination helps shift the clock earlier. Taking melatonin in the evening can also help shift the clock. Avoiding bright light in the evening prevents further delay. Shift work, particularly night shift work, creates chronic circadian disruption. Night shift workers are required to be alert and productive when their internal clocks are promoting sleep, and to sleep when their clocks are promoting wakefulness. This chronic misalignment has significant health consequences. Epidemiological studies have linked shift work to increased risk of various health problems, including cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and certain cancers. The International Agency for Research on Cancer has classified shift work that involves circadian disruption as probably carcinogenic to humans. The challenges of shift work extend beyond health to safety and performance. Night shift workers are more likely to be involved in accidents, make errors, and experience microsleeps during work. The accident at the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant occurred in the early morning hours, a time when circadian alertness is typically at its lowest. Managing shift work requires strategies to improve circadian alignment. Consistent scheduling, bright light exposure during work hours, and melatonin before sleep times can all help. However, complete adaptation to night shift work is rarely possible. Most night shift workers never fully adjust to their schedules, circadian rhythms, and mental health. The relationship between circadian rhythms and mental health is bidirectional. Circadian disruptions can contribute to mental health problems, and mental health problems can disrupt circadian rhythms. Understanding this connection offers opportunities for therapeutic intervention. Depression is commonly associated with disrupted circadian rhythms. People experiencing depression often show abnormalities in their cortisol rhythms, melatonin secretion, and sleep-wake patterns. Sleep disturbances are one of the most common symptoms of depression, and treating sleep problems often improves mood. Seasonal affective disorder, a form of depression that occurs during winter months, is directly linked to circadian disruption. Reduced daylight hours in winter can shift circadian rhythms later, creating a kind of internal jet lag. Light therapy, which involves exposure to bright lights in the morning, can effectively treat this condition by shifting circadian rhythms earlier. Bipolar disorder shows particularly strong connections to circadian rhythms. The transition between manic and depressive episodes is often associated with changes in sleep and circadian patterns. Disrupted sleep can trigger manic episodes, while excessive sleep can signal impending depression. Stabilizing circadian rhythms is an important component of managing bipolar disorder. Anxiety disorders are also linked to circadian disruption. People with anxiety often show elevated evening cortisol and disrupted sleep patterns. The hyperarousal associated with anxiety can further disrupt sleep, creating a vicious cycle. Improving sleep can reduce anxiety symptoms, and reducing anxiety can improve sleep. The relationship between circadian rhythms and mental health involves multiple mechanisms. Neurotransmitter systems that regulate mood, including serotonin and dopamine, show circadian variation. The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which controls the stress response, is closely linked to circadian rhythms. Disruption of either system can affect the other. Therapeutic approaches that target circadian rhythms can be effective for mental health conditions. Sleep deprivation, administered carefully in controlled settings, can rapidly improve depression symptoms. This effect may relate to resetting disrupted circadian rhythms. Light therapy is established treatment for seasonal depression and shows promise for other conditions. Maintaining regular sleep-wake schedules is one of the most important things people can do for both circadian and mental health. Going to bed and waking at consistent times, including on weekends, helps maintain circadian stability. This simple behavioral intervention can have significant effects on mood and psychological well-being. Circadian rhythms and metabolism. The circadian system exerts powerful effects on metabolism, regulating not just when we feel hungry, but how our bodies process food. This connection has important implications for weight management and metabolic health. Glucose metabolism shows strong circadian variation. The body's ability to handle sugar is better during the day than at night. Insulin sensitivity peaks in the morning and declines in the afternoon and evening. This means the same meal eaten at night will produce higher blood glucose levels than the same meal eaten in the morning. This metabolic variation is reflected in appetite regulation. Ghrelin, the hormone that stimulates hunger, shows circadian variation with peaks in the morning and evening. Leptin, the hormone that signals fullness, follows its own rhythm. Together, these rhythms create a pattern of hunger that is typically higher during the day and lower at night. Eating at night, when metabolic function is reduced, can contribute to weight gain and metabolic problems. Studies have shown that people who eat more of their calories earlier in the day tend to weigh less than those who eat the same calories later. This effect is not simply about calorie timing, it's about the circadian regulation of metabolism. The timing of food intake itself can affect circadian rhythms. Eating is a powerful signal that can help synchronize peripheral clocks in the liver and other organs. The timing of meals, independent of light exposure, helps coordinate metabolism. This is why irregular eating patterns can disrupt circadian rhythms. Metabolic disorders are linked to circadian disruption. People with obesity, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome often show abnormalities in their circadian rhythms. This may be both cause and effect. Circadian disruption can contribute to metabolic problems, and metabolic problems can disrupt circadian rhythms. The timing of exercise also matters for metabolism. Exercise has its own effects on circadian rhythms, and the timing of exercise can influence both metabolic function and circadian alignment. Morning exercise is often recommended because it can help advance circadian rhythms and improves insulin sensitivity. Practical applications of this knowledge include timing meals to align with circadian metabolism, eating more calories earlier in the day, and avoiding eating in the evening and night. This approach, sometimes called chrononutrition, can be an effective component of weight management and metabolic health strategies. The immune system and circadian rhythms. The immune system is not a constant defender, but rather a temporally regulated system that varies throughout the day. This circadian regulation of immunity has important implications for infection risk, vaccine effectiveness, and autoimmune conditions. Different immune cells show different circadian patterns. Some types of immune cells peak during sleep, others peak during the day. Natural killer cells, important for fighting viruses and cancer, show particularly strong circadian variation, with peak activity during the early night. This timing may reflect when viral exposure is most likely. The inflammatory response also shows circadian patterns. Inflammatory signaling molecules called cytokines show regular daily variation. This temporal organization may help prepare the body for potential challenges, with different types of immune activity peaking at different times. The timing of infection can affect its severity. Studies in animals have shown that infections contracted at different times of day lead to different outcomes. The same bacterial dose can be more lethal when given at certain times. This likely reflects the circadian variation in immune function. Vaccine effectiveness depends on timing. Studies have shown that vaccines given in the morning tend to produce stronger antibody responses than those given in the afternoon. This may be because immune function is optimized during the morning when vaccines are most effectively processed. Autoimmune conditions in which the immune system attacks the body's own tissues often show circadian patterns. Rheumatoid arthritis typically causes worse symptoms in the morning, when inflammatory processes are at their peak. This pattern reflects the circadian regulation of inflammatory responses. Disrupted circadian rhythms can impair immune function. Sleep deprivation, shift work, and other forms of circadian disruption are associated with increased susceptibility to infections and reduced vaccine effectiveness. This represents another reason why good sleep hygiene and regular schedules are important for health. The circadian regulation of immunity suggests practical applications. Getting adequate sleep around the time of vaccination may improve antibody responses. Avoiding nighttime exposure to bright light may help maintain normal immune function. Even the timing of medical treatments may be optimized based on circadian biology, optimizing your circadian health. Understanding circadian biology provides practical tools for improving sleep, energy, and overall health. Simple interventions can help align your internal clock with your desired schedule. The most powerful intervention is strategic light exposure. Getting bright light in the morning, ideally within an hour of waking, helps advance your clock and promotes earlier sleep. This can be natural sunlight or a bright light therapy device. Even on cloudy days, outdoor light is much brighter than indoor lighting. Equally important is avoiding light in the evening, particularly blue light from screens. Blue light suppresses melatonin and delays circadian rhythms. Using blue light filters on devices, or better yet, avoiding screens for an hour or two before bed, can significantly improve sleep. Consistent sleep and wake times are crucial for circadian health. Your body clock responds to regular schedules, and the more consistent you are, the better your rhythms will function. This includes weekends when many people allow their schedules to drift. Meal timing affects circadian rhythms, particularly peripheral clocks in the liver and other organs. Eating at consistent times helps synchronize these clocks. Having an early dinner, at least a few hours before bed, supports circadian alignment. Exercise can shift circadian rhythms, but timing matters. Morning and early afternoon exercise tends to advance the clock, while evening exercise can delay it. The timing of exercise can be used deliberately to shift rhythms in desired directions. Keeping your bedroom cool supports the natural temperature drop that occurs during sleep. The ideal sleeping temperature is typically between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit. A slightly cool room helps facilitate the temperature drop that promotes sleep. Avoiding caffeine in the afternoon and evening is important because caffeine has a long half-life and can disrupt both sleep and circadian rhythms. Even caffeine consumed in the afternoon can affect sleep quality and circadian timing. Alcohol may help with sleep onset but disrupts sleep quality and circadian rhythms. Alcohol consumption can fragment sleep and alter circadian regulation. Limiting alcohol, particularly in the evening, supports circadian health. Circadian rhythms across the lifespan. Circadian rhythms change throughout the lifespan, reflecting the development and aging of the circadian system. Understanding these changes helps explain age-related patterns in sleep and activity. Infants and newborns do not have well-developed circadian rhythms. Their sleep-wake patterns are distributed relatively evenly throughout the day and night, with no strong day-night distinction. This gradually changes over the first few months of life as the circadian system matures. In early childhood, circadian rhythms become more robust and consolidated. Children typically transition from multiple sleep periods to a single midday nap and eventually to night sleep only. The timing of these transitions reflects the developing circadian system. Adolescence is characterized by a dramatic shift toward eveningness. Teens naturally stay up later and wake later, a biological change that reflects shifts in circadian timing rather than simple rebellion or poor habits. This shift is driven by changes in the circadian system that are characteristic of puberty. The shift toward morningness begins in the late teens and continues through adulthood. By middle age, most people have shifted significantly earlier than they were as young adults. This can manifest as difficulty staying up late and a preference for earlier bedtimes. In older adults, circadian rhythms often become less robust. The amplitude of rhythms may decrease, meaning that the difference between day and night values is smaller. This can contribute to sleep problems, including waking up very early and not being able to fall back asleep. The timing of the circadian rhythm of sleep also shifts with age. Older adults tend to go to bed earlier and wake earlier than younger adults. The core body temperature minimum, which typically occurs in the early morning hours, may occur earlier. These age-related changes in circadian rhythms have implications for sleep and health at every stage of life. Understanding that these changes are normal helps set appropriate expectations and guides interventions when sleep problems arise. Circadian clocks in other organisms. Circadian rhythms are not unique to humans but are found throughout the living world, from single-celled organisms to complex plants and animals. Studying these rhythms in other organisms has revealed fundamental principles of circadian biology. Plants were among the first organisms in which circadian rhythms were documented. The observation that flowers opened and closed at regular times, even in darkness, demonstrated that these rhythms are generated internally rather than being simple responses to light. Plants like Arabidopsis have served as important model organisms for understanding circadian biology. Fruit flies have been crucial for identifying the molecular mechanisms of circadian clocks. The period gene discovered in these small insects led to the identification of similar genes in mammals. The relatively short lifespan and easy genetic manipulation of fruit flies make them valuable research tools. Bacteria show circadian rhythms, though they are more simple than in multicellular organisms. The cyanobacteria, also called blue-green algae, have circadian rhythms that allow them to anticipate daily changes in light availability. These rhythms are generated by a simple clock that is being studied for its potential applications in biotechnology. Mammals, other than humans, show clear circadian rhythms in behavior and physiology. Laboratory rodents are the primary model organisms for understanding mammalian circadian biology. Studies in mice and rats have revealed the suprachiasmatic nucleus, characterized clock genes, and shown how the circadian system coordinates physiology. Marine organisms show fascinating circadian adaptations. Some coral reef fish spawn at precise times coordinated with lunar cycles. These tidal and lunar rhythms add additional layers to the basic circadian rhythm, creating complex temporal patterns that coordinate behavior with environmental cycles. Birds have circadian systems that differ in some interesting ways from those of mammals. They have additional photoreceptors that allow them to detect light through their skulls, which may help explain their ability to navigate during migration. Some bird species can even turn off their circadian clocks during long migrations. The universality of circadian rhythms across organisms reflects the fundamental importance of internal timekeeping. Every living organism must anticipate regular changes in its environment to survive and reproduce. The evolution of internal clocks, rather than simple responses to external cues, allows this anticipation. The genetic basis of circadian rhythms. The discovery of specific genes that generate circadian rhythms transformed our understanding of biological timekeeping. These clock genes are conserved across species, from fruit flies to humans, revealing the fundamental importance of circadian biology. The period gene was the first circadian gene identified, In 1971, Seymour Benzer and Ronald Konopka discovered fruit flies with mutations that affected the length of their daily activity cycles. Some had short periods, some had long periods, and some had no rhythm at all. The gene responsible for these effects was named period. The molecular mechanism of the clock involves a feedback loop. The period gene and another gene called timeless produce proteins that accumulate during the day and then, late in the day, inhibit the activity of the genes that produce them. This creates a cycle that takes approximately 24 hours to complete. When this feedback loop is disrupted, circadian rhythms are disrupted or eliminated. Mammals have similar clock genes that perform the same function. The mouse version of the period gene was identified and shown to be essential for circadian rhythms. Mutations in human circadian genes have been linked to sleep disorders and other conditions. The clock gene, discovered in mice, produces a protein that activates the period and cryptochrome genes. Mice with mutations in this gene show disrupted rhythms, demonstrating its essential role in the clock mechanism. Genes are only part of the story. The regulation of clock genes involves multiple layers, including epigenetic modifications that affect gene expression, post-translational modifications that affect protein stability and activity, and cellular processes that coordinate the clocks of individual cells. The expression of clock genes varies throughout the day, with different genes peaking at different times. This temporal pattern creates the rhythmic output of the molecular clock, affecting countless downstream processes. Studying the genetics of circadian rhythms has practical applications. Genetic testing can identify individuals with certain circadian variants, helping explain their sleep patterns and preferences. This knowledge can inform personalized approaches to sleep and scheduling. Circadian rhythms and performance, cognitive performance, physical capabilities, and even creativity all show circadian variation. Understanding these patterns can help optimize the timing of activities for maximum effectiveness. Cognitive performance typically peaks in the late morning for most people. Reaction time, attention, and working memory all show patterns that align with circadian arousal. This morning peak reflects the combined effects of circadian alertness and the dissipation of homeostatic sleep drive. The afternoon dip in performance is a real phenomenon, not just a cultural expectation. Around 2 to 3 p.m., circadian arousal reaches a low point, and performance suffers accordingly. This dip is particularly pronounced in the early afternoon and can affect everything from driving to decision-making. Physical performance shows even more dramatic circadian variation. Strength, flexibility, and anaerobic power all peak at different times of day, typically in the late afternoon or early evening. This variation can be significant, with performance differing by 10% or more between best and worst times. The best time for creative thinking may be different from analytical thinking. Some research suggests that insight and creative problem-solving are better during the circadian trough, when the brain is less focused and more likely to make novel connections. This challenges the assumption that peak performance is always optimal. Athletes have used this knowledge to optimize training and competition times. Scheduling important events during peak circadian performance times can provide meaningful advantages. Training during suboptimal times can help athletes perform better when competitions occur during optimal times. The timing of learning also matters. Memory consolidation, the process of stabilizing memories after learning, occurs during sleep. However, the ability to learn new material shows circadian variation, with optimal times typically in the morning. This suggests that important new learning should be scheduled during morning hours. Understanding circadian performance patterns allows individuals to schedule their most demanding activities during their personal peaks. This optimization can improve outcomes in everything from academic performance to workplace productivity. Circadian rhythms and aging. The aging process affects circadian rhythms in multiple ways, contributing to the sleep problems commonly experienced by older adults. Understanding these changes can guide interventions to improve sleep in aging populations. The amplitude of circadian rhythms tends to decrease with age. The difference between day and night values becomes smaller, meaning that rhythms are less robust. This can make it harder to maintain regular sleep-wake patterns and can contribute to fragmented sleep. The timing of circadian rhythms often shifts earlier with age. Older adults tend to go to bed earlier and wake earlier than younger adults. This shift can be problematic when it conflicts with social schedules or leads to early morning waking that cannot be overcome. Sleep consolidation often decreases with age. Older adults tend to sleep more lightly and wake more frequently during the night. This fragmentation reduces total sleep time and can lead to daytime sleepiness. Changes in the circadian system itself contribute to these problems. The number of neurons in the suprachiasmatic nucleus may decrease with age. The ability to respond to light cues may also diminish. These changes make the circadian clock less robust and less responsive to environmental cues. Older adults also often get less exposure to zeitgebers, the environmental signals that synchronize circadian rhythms. They may spend less time outdoors, reducing natural light exposure. Reduced physical activity and social engagement can also weaken circadian signals. Strategies to improve circadian health in older adults include increasing light exposure, maintaining regular schedules, and timed exercise. Bright light therapy in the morning can help strengthen circadian rhythms. Consistent bed and wake times help maintain rhythm stability. The relationship between circadian disruption and age-related diseases is an area of active research. Circadian dysfunction has been linked to Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, and other conditions common in older adults. Improving circadian health may help prevent or slow these conditions. Circadian rhythms and cardiovascular health. The cardiovascular system shows strong circadian variation with implications for both normal function and disease risk. Understanding these patterns can inform prevention strategies and treatment timing. Blood pressure follows a clear circadian pattern, higher during the day and lower at night. The morning surge in blood pressure, beginning around the time of waking, is particularly pronounced. This pattern reflects the combined effects of circadian arousal and the transition from horizontal sleep to vertical waking. Heart rate shows similar circadian variation, typically lowest during sleep and highest during the afternoon. The heart rate response to exercise also varies with time of day, with Circadian function better during afternoon hours. The risk of cardiovascular events shows circadian patterns. Heart attacks and strokes are more common in the morning hours, particularly in the first few hours after waking. This increased risk is associated with the morning surge in blood pressure, increased blood clotting tendency, and other circadian factors. Atrial fibrillation, an irregular heart rhythm, shows its own circadian patterns. Episodes are more common during the night and early morning. This may reflect the circadian variation in autonomic nervous system activity. The timing of cardiovascular medications can affect their effectiveness. Some blood pressure medications are more effective when taken at specific times of day. Chronotherapy, the timing of treatments based on circadian biology, is an area of ongoing research. Disrupted circadian rhythms, as occur in shift work, are associated with increased cardiovascular risk. This represents another health consequence of circadian disruption, adding to the already substantial evidence for the importance of maintaining circadian health. Protective strategies include timing cardiovascular activities appropriately, taking medications at optimal times, and maintaining regular sleep-wake schedules. These interventions can help reduce cardiovascular risk. Future directions in circadian research. The field of circadian biology is advancing rapidly, with new discoveries and applications emerging regularly. Understanding current research directions provides insight into how our understanding of circadian rhythms will continue to develop. Chronotherapy, the timing of medical treatments based on circadian biology, is an area of active investigation. Cancer chemotherapy, blood pressure medications, and other treatments show different effectiveness and toxicity depending on when they are administered. Optimizing treatment timing could significantly improve outcomes. The role of circadian rhythms in mental health continues to be explored. New treatments targeting circadian disruption are being developed for depression, bipolar disorder, and other conditions. Understanding the circadian basis of mental illness may lead to novel therapeutic approaches. Circadian diagnostics are becoming more sophisticated. Wearable devices can now track circadian rhythms through markers like body temperature and activity patterns. This could allow personalized circadian profiling and more targeted interventions. The interactions between circadian rhythms and other biological systems are being increasingly recognized. The gut microbiome, the immune system, and metabolism all show circadian regulation. Understanding these interactions may lead to new approaches for treating metabolic and inflammatory conditions. Technological interventions are advancing. New types of light therapy, chronotherapeutic drugs, and behavioral interventions are being developed. These could provide more precise ways to manipulate circadian rhythms for health benefit. The effects of artificial light at night continue to be studied. As society becomes increasingly illuminated around the clock, understanding the health effects of this light exposure becomes more important. Guidelines for appropriate light exposure are likely to become more refined. Public health implications are being considered more systematically. Shift work, jet lag, and other forms of circadian disruption have substantial societal costs. Policies to reduce circadian disruption, from work schedules to school start times, are being debated and implemented. Circadian rhythms and longevity. Emerging research suggests that circadian health may be linked to longevity. Maintaining robust circadian rhythms may contribute to a longer, healthier life. Studies in model organisms have shown that disrupting circadian rhythms can shorten lifespan. Fruit flies, mice, and other organisms kept in constant conditions or with genetic disruptions of their clocks show reduced lifespans. This suggests that circadian disruption is not just a marker of aging, but potentially contributes to it. Human studies have also found associations between circadian disruption and mortality. People with irregular sleep patterns, shift workers, and those with other forms of circadian disruption show increased mortality risk in some studies. The mechanisms underlying this association are not yet fully understood. Oxidative stress and inflammation are both influenced by circadian rhythms. Disrupted rhythms may increase oxidative damage and chronic inflammation, both of which are associated with aging and age-related diseases. Maintaining circadian rhythms may help reduce these harmful processes. Cellular repair processes, including autophagy, show circadian variation. Autophagy, the process by which cells clean out damaged components, is important for cellular health and longevity. This process is optimized during certain circadian phases, and disruption may impair cellular maintenance. Metabolic health, which is closely tied to circadian rhythms, affects longevity. Circadian disruption is associated with metabolic problems including obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, all of which can shorten lifespan. Maintaining metabolic health through circadian optimization may contribute to longevity. Practical implications include maintaining regular sleep-wake schedules, getting adequate light exposure, and avoiding circadian disruption from shift work or jet lag when possible. These simple interventions may help maintain circadian health and support longevity. Circadian rhythms in everyday life. Beyond the laboratory and clinic, circadian rhythms affect countless aspects of daily life. Understanding these effects helps navigate modern challenges and optimize everyday functioning. Work productivity varies with circadian rhythms. Most people perform best on cognitive tasks in the late morning. Scheduling important meetings and challenging projects during these optimal times can improve outcomes. The afternoon dip in alertness should be anticipated, with lighter tasks scheduled for that period. Exercise timing affects both performance and health outcomes. Morning exercise can help strengthen circadian rhythms and improve sleep. Evening exercise can interfere with sleep, though the effect varies among individuals. Finding the optimal exercise time is an individual process. Meal timing influences both metabolism and circadian health. Eating breakfast, the first meal of the day, helps set the day's circadian pattern. Having dinner early, several hours before bed, supports healthy metabolism and circadian alignment. Snacking at night disrupts peripheral clocks. Social activities often conflict with circadian biology. Late-night social events force us to be awake when our clocks are promoting sleep. While occasional late nights are harmless, chronic late scheduling can contribute to circadian disruption. Technology use affects circadian rhythms in numerous ways. Morning alarms wake us against our circadian preferences. Evening screen use suppresses melatonin and delays sleep. Blue light filtering and screen time management can help mitigate these effects. Travel across time zones requires circadian adjustment. Strategic light exposure, melatonin use, and meal timing can speed the adjustment process. Understanding the direction-dependent effects of jet lag helps manage expectations and plan interventions. Parenting, especially of infants and young children, involves significant circadian disruption. The irregular schedules of young children affect parental sleep. Understanding that this phase is temporary and implementing strategies to maintain as much circadian regularity as possible helps minimize the impact. Circadian rhythm disorders. When circadian rhythms become significantly misaligned with the desired sleep-wake schedule, circadian rhythm disorders can result. Understanding these conditions helps in recognizing and treating them. Delayed sleep-wake disorder is characterized by difficulty falling asleep and difficulty waking at desired times. People with this disorder typically cannot fall asleep until very late at night, often after 2 a.m., and have difficulty waking for morning commitments. This is essentially an extreme evening chronotype. Advanced sleep-wake disorder involves early sleep onset and early waking, typically sleeping from early evening to early morning. This is most common in older adults and can interfere with social and work activities. Shift work disorder occurs when work schedules conflict with the circadian desire for sleep at night. It involves difficulty sleeping and excessive sleepiness that affect work performance and quality of life. Jet lag disorder results from rapid travel across time zones. Symptoms include difficulty sleeping, daytime fatigue, and general malaise that persist after travel. Non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder, most common in people who are blind, involves the circadian clock not being synchronized to the 24-hour day. Sleep times drift later and later as the internal clock runs on its own approximately 24-hour rhythm. Treatments for circadian rhythm disorders include light therapy, melatonin, and behavioral interventions. Strategic light exposure at appropriate times can shift the clock in desired directions. Melatonin can help advance or delay rhythms depending on timing. Sleep schedule regulation helps maintain rhythm stability. Recognizing circadian rhythm disorders is important because they are treatable conditions, not simply lifestyle choices. Proper diagnosis and treatment can significantly improve quality of life. The emotional circadian connection. Mood and emotional states show clear circadian patterns, reflecting the deep connections between our internal clocks and our psychological experiences. Morning and evening moods typically differ. Most people report better mood in the morning, with a decline throughout the day. This pattern reflects both circadian influences and the effects of daily activities and interactions. The circadian trough in alertness, typically occurring in the early morning hours, is associated with negative mood in some people. This may contribute to the increased risk of suicide during these hours. The combination of low circadian arousal and the demands of beginning a new day can be challenging. Evening types may experience more negative mood in the morning when their internal clocks are promoting sleep, but external demands require wakefulness. This mismatch can contribute to irritability and frustration. Similarly, morning types forced to stay up late may experience negative mood when their clocks are promoting sleep. Seasonal changes in mood are linked to circadian rhythms. Reduced light exposure in winter can shift circadian rhythms later, creating a kind of internal jet lag that affects mood. This mechanism is thought to contribute to seasonal affective disorder. The regulation of emotional responses also shows circadian variation. People may be more emotionally reactive during the circadian trough, when self-regulation resources are lowest. Conversely, during circadian peaks, emotional regulation may be more effective. Understanding the circadian nature of mood can help with emotional management. Anticipating difficult times, typically in the early morning, can help with planning. Taking advantage of morning alertness for challenging emotional situations can improve outcomes. The circadian system and pain. Pain sensitivity varies throughout the day in ways that reflect circadian regulation. Understanding these patterns can inform both pain management and understanding of pain conditions. Experimental pain studies show clear circadian variation in pain thresholds and tolerance. Most people are more sensitive to pain in the late evening and night when circadian arousal is lowest. This pattern may reflect the interaction between circadian processes and pain signaling. Rheumatoid arthritis characteristically shows worse morning pain, reflecting circadian variation in inflammatory processes. Inflammatory signaling molecules, including certain cytokines, peak during the night and early morning, contributing to morning joint pain and stiffness. Migraines show circadian patterns in many sufferers. Attacks are more common during the day than at night, though some experience nocturnal migraines. The circadian regulation of pain signaling and vascular function may both play roles. The effectiveness of pain medications varies with time of day. This chronopharmacology reflects circadian variation in drug metabolism, drug target availability, and pain pathway activity. Timing medications optimally could improve pain control. Postoperative pain shows circadian variation with higher pain ratings at night. This pattern may contribute to the increased risk of complications during nighttime hours. Understanding these patterns could inform post-operative care protocols. Chronic pain conditions are often associated with circadian disruption. People with chronic pain frequently have sleep problems, which further disrupt circadian rhythms. This creates a cycle of pain and circadian disruption that can be difficult to break. Pain management strategies can incorporate circadian principles. Timing pain medication to account for circadian variation in pain sensitivity may improve effectiveness. Sleep optimization can help break the cycle of pain and circadian disruption. Circadian rhythms in the workplace. The modern workplace often conflicts with circadian biology, creating challenges for both employers and employees. Understanding these conflicts can guide interventions to improve workplace health and productivity. Standard work schedules typically assume everyone is a morning type. However, only a minority of the population is naturally inclined toward early schedules. For evening types, required early start times create chronic misalignment between internal clocks and work schedules. Shift work, necessary in many industries, creates severe circadian disruption. Night shift workers are trying to sleep when their clocks are promoting wakefulness and work when their clocks are promoting sleep. This chronic disruption has significant health consequences. Workplace accidents show circadian patterns, with more accidents occurring during the circadian trough in the early morning hours. This pattern is particularly pronounced in occupations requiring high alertness, including healthcare, transportation, and manufacturing. Cognitive performance varies throughout the workday, with peaks in the late morning and dips in the early afternoon. This variation affects decision-making, creativity, and error rates. Scheduling demanding tasks during peak performance times can improve outcomes. Workplace lighting often fails to provide sufficient circadian effective light. Dim indoor lighting does not strongly affect circadian rhythms, leading to inadequate circadian signaling. Bright light exposure, either from windows or artificial sources, during work hours can improve circadian alignment. Flexible work schedules, when possible, can accommodate circadian diversity, allowing employees some control over their schedules within operational requirements can reduce circadian disruption and improve both health and productivity. Circadian rhythms in education. Educational settings present particular challenges for circadian biology, especially for adolescents whose internal clocks naturally shift toward eveningness. Understanding these challenges can inform educational policies and student strategies. School start times for adolescents typically conflict with their circadian biology. Early start times require teenagers to be alert and learning at hours when their clocks are promoting sleep. This mismatch contributes to poor academic performance, mood problems, and the common cincia of students falling asleep in early morning classes. Research consistently shows that later school start times improve outcomes for adolescents. Later start times lead to more sleep, better attendance, improved academic performance, and reduced car accidents among teenage drivers. Despite this evidence, many schools maintain early start times. College students often experience further circadian disruption. Irregular class schedules, social activities at night, and the general freedom of college life can all disrupt circadian rhythms. Poor sleep and circadian disruption contribute to academic difficulties, mental health problems, and physical illness. Optimal learning times vary with chronotype, but generally align with morning for most people. Understanding personal circadian patterns can help students schedule challenging subjects during their personal peak performance times. Study habits often work against circadian biology. Late-night studying, common among students, occurs during the circadian trough when cognitive function is reduced. Better outcomes might be achieved by studying during morning hours when circadian alertness is higher. Sleep hygiene education can help students maintain healthier circadian rhythms. Understanding the importance of regular sleep schedules, morning light exposure, and avoiding late-night screen use can improve both academic performance and overall health. Technology and circadian health. Modern technology has complex effects on circadian rhythms, both disrupting and potentially helping maintain healthy rhythms depending on how it is used. Smartphones, tablets, and computers emit blue light that suppresses melatonin and delays circadian rhythms. Evening use of these devices makes it harder to fall asleep. The content on screens may also be stimulating, further preventing sleep. Sleep tracking devices have become widespread, allowing people to monitor their sleep patterns. While useful, these devices sometimes create anxiety about sleep that can itself disrupt sleep. Understanding that some night-to-night variation is normal helps keep this information helpful rather than harmful. Blue light filtering apps and devices can reduce but not eliminate the circadian disrupting effects of screens. While better than nothing, they do not fully replace the benefits of screen avoidance in the hours before bed. Light therapy devices provide an effective way to get circadian effective light, especially during winter months or for people who cannot get outside during daylight hours. These devices can help advance or delay circadian rhythms depending on when they are used. Sleep apps and white noise machines can help with sleep hygiene. They can provide consistent sleep cues that help maintain circadian rhythms. However, reliance on these devices should not replace fundamental sleep hygiene practices. Circadian-optimized lighting systems are being developed for homes and workplaces. These systems provide bright, circadian-effective light during the day and reduce blue light in the evening. Such systems could help maintain healthier circadian rhythms in modern indoor environments. Seasonal rhythms beyond circadian. While circadian rhythms operate on a 24-hour cycle, other biological rhythms operate on longer timescales. These seasonal and annual rhythms interact with circadian processes in complex ways. Seasonal affective disorder represents the most well-known example of seasonal rhythm disruption. Reduced daylight in winter triggers circadian shifts and mood changes in susceptible individuals. Light therapy, by providing circadian effective light, can help. Photoperiod, the day length, affects many biological processes beyond mood. Reproductive cycles, fur or feather changes, and hibernation behaviors all respond to day length. In humans, subtle photoperiod effects may influence metabolism, immune function, and other processes. The interaction between circadian and seasonal rhythms adds complexity to biological timekeeping. The same clock genes that generate 24-hour rhythms also participate in longer-term rhythms. Understanding these interactions helps explain seasonal patterns in health and disease. Winter, with its longer nights and shorter days, poses particular circadian challenges. Getting outside for bright light exposure becomes more difficult, and the early darkness encourages earlier bedtimes. Intentional light exposure becomes more important. Circadian rhythms and digestive health. The digestive system shows strong circadian regulation, with implications for nutrition, metabolism, and gastrointestinal health. The liver's metabolic function varies with time of day, affecting how it processes nutrients and medications. Enzyme levels, glucose metabolism, and detoxification all show circadian patterns. This variation affects the timing of meals and medication effectiveness. Hunger and satiety signals follow circadian patterns. Ghrelin, which stimulates hunger, shows peaks in the morning and evening. Leptin, which signals fullness, has its own rhythm. These patterns influence when we feel hungry and how much we eat. Eating at night, when digestive function is reduced, can contribute to weight gain and metabolic problems. The timing of food intake affects how many calories are stored versus burned. Late-night eating is particularly problematic for metabolic health. Gastrointestinal motility shows circadian variation. This affects the timing of digestive processes and may contribute to symptoms like constipation that vary throughout the day. Gut microbiome composition shows daily variation. The types and numbers of bacteria in our intestines change over the course of the day. This variation is influenced by feeding patterns and may have its own effects on health. The timing of meals can help maintain circadian health. Having a substantial breakfast helps set the day's rhythm. Having dinner early, at least 3 hours before bed, allows for proper circadian alignment. Avoiding late-night snacking helps maintain healthy rhythms. Summary and practical applications. This exploration of circadian rhythms has covered fundamental biology, practical implications, and strategies for optimizing daily life. Understanding these principles empowers better self-care. The core principles of circadian biology are straightforward. We have internal clocks that generate approximately 24-hour rhythms. These clocks are synchronized by environmental cues, primarily light. When our internal rhythms align with our desired schedule, we feel and function our best. Disruption of circadian rhythms has real consequences. Sleep problems, mood difficulties, metabolic disturbances, and reduced performance all can result from circadian misalignment. Long-term disruption is associated with serious health problems. Practical strategies for circadian optimization include getting bright morning light, avoiding evening blue light, maintaining consistent sleep-wake times, timing meals appropriately, and exercising at optimal times. These interventions are simple but powerful. The timing of activities can be optimized based on circadian biology. Most people do their best cognitive work in the late morning. Physical performance peaks in the afternoon or evening. Creative thinking may occur during the circadian trough. Chronotype differences reflect genuine biological variation. Morning types naturally rise earlier. Evening types naturally stay up later. Respecting these differences while working with them to meet social and work requirements is important for well-being. Circadian biology is increasingly relevant in modern society. Our round-the-clock lifestyles, artificial lighting, and global travel all challenge our circadian systems. Understanding these challenges allows for better navigation of modern life. The future holds promise for more sophisticated circadian interventions. Chronotherapy, personalized timing of medical treatments, and circadian-optimized environments may all become more common. Understanding circadian principles now prepares for this future. As our story slowly comes to an end, allow the final thoughts to fade gently into the quiet of the night. The rain and the calm ideas and the peaceful moments we've explored can settle softly in the background like distant echoes of a quiet evening. There is no need to think about anything now. Your body can continue to relax, breathing slow and steady. If you are still awake, simply remain here a little longer and enjoy the calm atmosphere. And if sleep has already started to find you, let it arrive naturally and without effort. Thank you for spending this quiet moment here on Cozy Sleep Time. If you enjoy these calm stories and gentle explorations, you can return anytime for another peaceful journey into rest. For now, let the night grow quieter and quieter and quieter, and allow yourself to drift deeper into sleep. Good night.